one of the main reasons why I wanted to build on this is because our people, this subject, Paa Pau't, or the all, is to build on a mindset that we're still in, the creator. We still use terms that limit who we are within our minds. Realize all creation is mental. And the way you were created was mental. It was within the mental reservoir first, what was known as the fourth plane or the mental plane. It was a thought that was manifested. And it went from that manifestation to conception and what we now know as before conception to inception. And then within these two sections, you have the ending point of the vibratory frequency to go from high to low, which is involution. You understand? We've dealt with evolution for over 6,000 years. We've watched this human beast, this white man or this European or this Caucasoid or this Tamahu, Tanum Hayu, go through an evolutionary cycle. And we've watched him make mistakes and cause destruction all over the planet and try to make destruction into the galaxies by trying to migrate outside of this world. What we have to understand at the same time is that, again, I have to keep making this statement, is that all creation is mental first. When you say the all, we've always, talked about this, all is I can or cannot do, because it's now become rhetoric. And when you don't understand something and you just ritualistically repeat it, it's rhetoric. Understand, if I say, Anuki fi ashug shil Paa Pau't waku ashug dachuni, which means I am in love with the all, and all love is inside me. What that's saying to me, and what that should be saying to everyone else, is that the love is already here. All love is already here. You have to be the one to bring forth that love. We all know that there's 3 levels of love, but at the end of the day, we're dealing with the frequency that we're vibrating on now that we can see, that gives us mental projections within self. So that love has to be able to resonate first from you, not so much a love of a corresponding individual, a companion, your mother, your father, your dog, your cat. All that's still on a lower frequency level. But if the cosmosan deals with the higher frequency level, he or she knows that it's already there, and all you have to do is resonate and be pure hu he or pure hua. Because we dealt with divine love, and we still deal with divine love for years, hu he, the personification or the utterance or the tone. You understand? We have to get to the point where involution is something that we can do at any given time, meaning that we learn how to vibrate higher, on a higher frequency level, whenever we choose to. If I say I can succeed as a part of all and fair as an individual, what that means is that I have to accept the fact that whatever I do, I am still within the action of the all, or of all. If what I do or what I don't do is predicated upon my mental projection within self. You understand? If I decide to just sit on my behind all day and be lazy, you're still making an effect within the all, within all. Or if I decide to use every ounce of pathos within my physical being to make an impression upon this planet Earth and within this universe, you're still making an impression. The rock that does not move still makes the impression. And the water that is constantly flowing still makes the impression. You understand? This is the mindset that we have to get into, is that at the end of the day, I'm still making an impression because we're still vibrating. Everything is vibrating. You follow? You have to get to the point where you make the decision mental first, because everything, again, is mental first, and then you manifest it into the physical. There's nothing you cannot do. There's nothing you cannot do. I'm a teacher, but I'm not a spirit, but I am not a motivational speaker. I can motivate, but I'm not a motivational speaker, meaning that my job is to let you know and to reinforce within self what my father, Dr. York, has been teaching for years, and to act on that. You understand, Papa? When said is an exaltation of the definite article that we still exist within. If I make names within the physical, because God, Allah, Jehovah, Adonai, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Rahubat, all these names I just mentioned are mental creations within all. And minutely, they're creations when you deal with God concepts within the physical person. That's how powerful that us as physical beings are, because we create these concepts. The concept is only as powerful as we make it. The creator, the word the creator, which is giving you, what they try to do is when you say the creator, they don't want to make it into monotheism. So what they'll just try to say, it could be he, she, they, it. But at the same time, by just saying the creator, you're still making it a finite situation. Creation is just a finite job within Paa Pau't, the all. For us to manifest into the physical, Paa Pau't, the all, had to vibrate on a grossly level, which is this physical form. You understand? That is a divine reality. We're on a grossly level. We're in a prison state, and we're trying to get back to the level of astral projection. Bottom line, we're going from one pole to the next. That's what we're trying to do. It's not about someone telling you what to do. It's not about someone writing a book and making you do it, because it's all about mental projection and mental creation. Because if my father never taught you who El Khadir was, who Zahuti was, who Yanin was, would you have ever known who these beings were, who these extraterrestrial beings were? Yes or no? You would not know. So it was his job to give you the mental picture, to give you the mental creation. Because as he says, I'm the spiritual master, but you are the master. Meaning that you still are in control of the actions that you exude physically as well as on every other principle within self. Because they're all resonating. And when they all resonate together, automatically you project. Mental projection is also created with Istab'al, which is known as what? Meditation. The process of the first level is humbling yourself, letting go of every egotistical action you've done that day, because you did do one, and also embracing in every humble action you did, because you did do some of those as well. But then meshing them together and accepting the fact that that is you, but I am still a being en route to perfection. You understand? These are things that goes through our minds in that realm or in that state of meditation. Once I get to a meditation state and I no longer have to pray and deal with the spook God concept and things like that, then I have to deal with what self has given me and what I have absorbed into self. And then once I have to deal with that, then it's time to weed out all those things that you have to deal with that's locked in your subconscious. It's consistently locked in your subconscious, and you have to let them go before you can completely leave. Because I have times where I meditate and I just envision myself flying. That might sound funny, but that's what I do. I'm flying and I'm smiling because throughout my week I'm going through stressful situations. But that one time throughout that week is when I can relax and let go. That's the one time throughout that week I can relax and let go, and that's the one time throughout your time that you can relax and let go. All of us have physical things that we go through throughout the week that seem to be so important to us. So we never get to break the chain that the devil has put upon our ankles. But until that one time where you finally say, it's time for me to break down that mask, take the mask away that I give to the world, and time to absorb, and now it's time to make the journey within. When you're in meditation state, you are creating. You are mentally creating, which gives you that divine reality that all is. You know, when you deal with Paa Pau't, Nuk Abmilu, Paa Pau't Nuk Abmilu, which means what? All does, I do. When all does, I do. It's not just all does and then that's just about it, which means that you still have the spook God concept in your mind. You follow? If I say Yakul, if I say Pa'at Yakul, and then I say Nuk Aikilu, I'm saying all can, I can. Again, what all does, you're still doing. Whatever all does is still a part. It's still an act, whether it be physical or whether it be mental or whether it be on a universal level. When you're dealing with just galaxies itself, these are things that you are still taking place and taking part in. Mm-hmm. You have to understand that fact. This is not something that you don't need to learn about the ancient ones. Let's say, for example, you learn about the ancient ones. Understand? And you learn about what they've done when they personified in the physical form, the 90 nads, the dark matter beings, and you dealt with the Pachaminu, those that evolved from the water, our ancient ones, our relatives. That was us at that moment. They are no more powerful than you. That's the reality. It's not a divine reality, but it's a reality. Because when we learn about these deities from many people, whether it be John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, all these different teachers and everything, and they all are respected and loved, the only problem is a lot of these teachers, they didn't see them as physical. They only saw them as principles, divine principles. You understand? They didn't see them as, wow, that was me then. That was what I was doing. Which means that they couldn't make the connection. They refused to make the connection, and those that they were teaching, of course, if I teach this to you in that specific way, that's how you're going to understand it, and that's how you're going to convey it to everybody else you come in contact with, is that this is just principles. There's people who see deities as only principles. But even still, them having been supreme beings, you were a supreme being once. That was evident. These same people who say that Asaru was only a principle still want to ignore the fact that Asaru's tomb was found. Okay? And he was a being that, of course, he died of a very early death. But on the next realm, he was able to graduate. That's why it says in Zahuti's vision, written by Dr. York, that he appeared to Zahuti as a dragon, which is what is known as astral projection. I'm projecting something because I'm mental now. I exist within the mental reservoir. I'm no longer going to deal with what mortal man has to deal with, whether it be ego from Satukh, who killed him for the reasons of him not being fertile, because Nebhut came to Acid and Asar to conceive, and that's how you get Anpu or Anubis in the physical form. That's the true story. And so because of Satukh wasn't an evil being, he allowed ego to rule his situation and to rule self. That's the truth. The thing is that when you're dealing with Asaru, again, he graduated on the next realm. His son, though, who was known as Haru, he graduated on the physical because he left from just being Har or Haru to being Re Ha-Achat. You follow? He went from being a falcon to the sun deity. He graduated in degrees. He went from the lesser to the greater. Those who are stuck, the Negro mind, those who are stuck on the lesser degrees, be it Christianity, Judaism, Islam, will only see the all as a God that is on a throne making decisions that impact our lives, and that he sent a son to be crucified so we all may be saved with a remission of sin. Or it be Muhammad alayhi wasalam that learned different things that, I couldn't read, so the angel Jibrail came to him and was able to help him or gave him the Quran in his language and in his tongue and in all these different fables and stories. You follow it? That's all they are. Once you move past that, then you can fully learn what the greater degrees is all about. The lesser degrees are stories. It's just like comic books. It's the same thing as comic books. It sounds real nice. It sounds real heavy at times. For some people, that's the heaviest they can get to because they've dropped themselves in degrees to the point where their mind is so dense that they can't get past seeing what the devil has given for them in the time of bondage, whether Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. So they are forever stuck in a mental state that can only see God as something they cannot ever be. Because if I can get past this level of physical, then I can do and be whatever I want. That is our divine purpose. Our divine purpose is to project whenever we feel like. But you cannot get there when you are constantly being controlled by other beings or things, be it relationship-wise, be it, doctrine-wise, all these things, from a job. These are things that we give our power to daily. And so you really cannot make the journey back within while being controlled by other beings. My father's purpose was never to control a human being, but it was to get you to turn yourself inside out. He cannot walk that route with you. You have to do that route within yourself. There's no way he can walk. He cannot hold your hand through that situation. So guess what? The blueprint to transform yourself inside out has been laid for you. There's still information that is yet to be expounded on, but you have to be the cosmosan to take what little or what a lot that he has given us and do the works yourself. That's what makes you a god. Anyone who is in control of other beings or things or self. Because if I'm not in control of self, who's in control of me? Somebody is in control of you if you're not in control of self. Someone is. Or it's outside situations that are just particles within all. That is a problem. And that's a problem for the individual because you try to succeed as a part of all, because in your mind you are separate from it. The definite article that is existence. It is kawun fiin. It is existence. All is. You are existence. That's the bottom line. If I cannot get to that point and say, you know what, these deities are cool, but guess what? They still exist within all. They're no powerful. They're no more powerful than all. That's the way it is. It's not the way I see it. It's not the way anyone else sees it. It's not the way I interpret it, or there's no interpretation. There's no interpretation I can create this for you. You have to know this to be that what is right knowledge, what is wu-nuwaupu, what is wu-nuwaupu or wu-nuwaup, and what is divine reality. Is that you correspond with everything in existence. You understand? And again, whatever impression you make upon people, you're going to get a reaction from that individual, whether good or bad. Because guess what? You were in control of that situation. You controlled that situation by your action. But they have to know within themselves that how they responded, they controlled the situation. Most people will never get to the point where they are in control of self. They don't want that because spookism derails them from being truly in control of self, putting back on the mask of God or the armor of God and saying, guess what? I am God. Because there still are conscious beings, conscious African thinking beings who are afraid to say, I am God in flesh. I am God in flesh. If I think in terms of Bible, and I say King James Version gives me who I am, so what do you mean? Genesis chapter 2, when it says the gold of that land was good, these are Neolithic gods that they say and they make evident in their Bible that they plagiarized from the wu-nuwaupu, and wu-nuwaupu was taken from the Egyptian mysteries. They're letting you know who you are. They're letting you know who exactly was there, these Dinig or these pygmy deities. That was you then. You have to be able to project in your mind that you're not separate from yourself. Because to say that, again, these deities were just symbolism and they just floated and they're just principles of something. If I just say Tahuti is just a correspondence of wisdom, or he represents something, that's spookism. You understand what I'm saying to you? That's a problem. We can't see ourselves as great as people teach us to be. We have to find a means to make everything we learn separate of self, because we can find means of worshiping that situation. That is a problem. If you cannot see self as powerful as you once were, then you will consistently be dense. Your frequency will be completely destroyed. Do realize music that you take in, you will project it upon self. It doesn't matter what type of music it is. You can go from Erykah Badu to Lil Wayne, from Fela Kuti to Chief Keef, and you are projecting that upon self, and it will damage you. Some music damages your frequency to the point where you are completely dense. Not even just music. Some people that you surround yourself with are so harmful to self that you can't make the journey back within. They are in control of you. They are your God, and you worship them based upon their actions. You can't confront. I myself, Paa Pau't, am a confrontational person. I confront things. I don't run from them. I don't sit in the corner. I don't wait for the train to go by. I don't wait for the bus to go by. I go out and I confront the situation because I like to iron things out. That's something my grandmother taught me to be. She taught me to deal with things as they come, because you don't want things to be held up in the air. You don't want to have that type of character. Those type of people are very passive. Those type of people are very untrustworthy. And those type of people are very physical because they don't know how to really confront what's really within self. It's the ego problem. It's the insecurity. These type of situations within self will keep you dense as well. You understand? It's all about the frequency level. You have to raise yourself up to the level where you can see within someone their frequency level. Not just by their works, but you can already see. If I'm looking at someone's head, if I'm looking at your eyes, I'm looking past that and I'm seeing a reflection of what's inside of you, your aura, not just all about chakras and everything, but should I even surround myself with that frequency? What is vibrating out of that molar on the top of the head, the root chakra? What is coming out of that? Okay? And should I surround myself with that energy? That has to be a thought in the mind. But it can never get to that point if in your mind you're projecting that you cannot get that ability. Because any ability you can have, when you deal with avatars, from my father, Dr. York, to Sai Baba, to Sachi Sai Baba, these are avatars that different deities came to because they raised themselves up to a specific frequency level, and they said these people can be used for a specific purpose. That is a reality, which means what is that telling you? That's telling you that you have the ability to open yourself up to an ability that you thought that was never possible. All you have to do is see it, and you can be it. I am not a motivational speaker. I'm not Joel Osteen. I don't play those games with people. But my job is to reinstate within you, the cosmosan, what you know is a reality for self. If you don't see it, there's nothing anyone else can ever do for you. Bottom line is most people who play the dogma game will forever be dense. Those who feel they have to rally people up, whether black, white, it don't matter. That's trivial at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, it's about you being able to get there. The only thing that when you deal with non-ether and six-ether beings is that non-ether is consistently eternal, and it consistently revolves and makes a turn for the infinite. Whereas when you're dealing with the Caucasoid, he doesn't make a turn, he makes a dissipation into nothingness, into non-existence at this point. There is no next level for him. He's still acceptant. He's still a particle within the all, within all. But at the end of the day, we have to accept him for his nature. That's what doesn't make me hate the individual. I accept you for your nature. But the bottom line is this. He within self, he and she within the Caucasoids, they dissipate. There's no next level for them. They knew this. That's why they had to mix in with you, because they needed to infuse with your melanin. They needed to infuse with the extraterrestrial molecule that is melanin. That's muhni. They had to do that. You know why? Because they knew that at some level they couldn't graduate. They were stuck. This isn't racism. This is divine reality. And so we have to get to the point where you begin to deal with divine reality and let go of emotion. Religion deals with emotion. Understand that religion deals with people who, deal with things. Religion deals with the fact that, or not even facts. Religion tries to put facts in your mind that the only way to deal with things is to cry about it, get angry about it, get sad about it. Try to deal with emotions, because that's what they do in the church, that's what they do in the mosque. You understand? They deal with plight, they deal with anger, they deal with all these things that allows you to no longer be in control of self. That's why you had to control your emotions, energy in emotion, energy in motion. There's no reason for us to have to deal with religion in this HA time period or hereafter, which is the year 6014. We have to accept the fact that religion was nothing but African customs perverted, be it Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, or even some of the other ones, Hinduism, Buddhism, etc., which is, all Buddha is nothing but Imhotep created into an Asian god. Bottom line. You have to accept reality. The bottom line is we don't like to accept realities. We want to keep dabbling into things based upon emotion, which means that you're not in control of emotion because you need other situations to control you. I don't need God. I don't need Allah. I don't need Jesus. I don't need the Creator. What I need to do is I need to accept my role within Paa Pau't, the all. Because all is. If I say Pa'ait Kalun, I'm saying all is. If I make that statement, that means that, again, whatever I do or don't do, I make an impact within the definite article. You understand? Zahuti or Tahuti's doctrine was based on this. It wasn't based on the creator. That's ego, because it leaves it again up to individualism to pick for you what you worship, whether it be gender or statue or phallic or vagina. You're creating something, and so you're actually limiting the definite article to be as person, place, or thing, thus still keeping you in the prison of threes, never getting outside of three. That's the biggest thing the devil wanted us to do, was stay in information. If I can get you to stay within information, I can limit your possibilities and your potential. If I get you to think from outformation, which opens up the molar, the crown chakra, it to be connected along with the pineal gland, to be connected to the ancient ones within self, so you can receive the information to yourself of it by reading books, then I will no longer need religion anymore. Then your concept of God becomes as small as a particle of lint. This isn't blasphemy. You have people in their minds that cannot see past religion, cannot see past a spirit that they cannot see. They're trapped. They're trapped mentally. They trap themselves. They see deities as worship beings. We have to go somewhere and grovel to them. You're stuck in spookism. You're still under the spell. You only see yourself, whether it be Zahuti, whether it be Hathor, whether it be Tauret, whether it be Asaru, whether it be Atum. These were physical beings that existed in physical form and did powerful things, whether it be scientifically, whether it be mathematically, whether it be astral projectively. This was you doing these things physically, because you wanted to personify in the physical form and do physical things because you chose to do it, not because you were obliged to do it, but you had the power to do it, the power to take. That's what God does. When I use the word God, I'm still limiting myself because I'm still using a Greek word. Think about it. We're a lot of times still stuck within their languages. So I have to say, not just myself, but us, we have to graduate from using the word God to, a netir or neteru. You are a netir. If this frightens you, then you will never make it to the next level. That needs to be overstood. If I say to myself, I am a netir, what is that saying to myself? What am I saying to myself? I'm making a confession that what I read about in Egyptian mysteries, that was me doing these things. It's not symbolism or spookism. We have to get away from these thoughts. That's what keeps you physical, is the separation away from what other beings done. So you can say, well, that wasn't me. That was just, that was a personification of something. Which is the same thing that Muslims say, same thing that Christians say, the personification of something. The Buddhists say it as well. It's not something that he did. It was a thought. It was, something you can't touch. That's ridiculous. The only people who are able to believe in things like that are people who limit themselves mentally. You are not that slow. You are not slow at all. That's the bottom line. You can do whatever you choose to do within Paa Pau't, the all, the definite article of. You cannot separate yourself from it. When you deal with dark matter, once you leave this planet, which is nothing but a particle within all, which is nothing but the eight, when we deal with our solar system, our galaxy, which is the 18th, which is known as the Milky Way, we're dealing with what we are confined by. I'm 33 years old, but on the 19th galaxy, which is Ihim, or Ilion, I'm over 1,000 years old. And I'm, we had to, gotta realize, when we come here to this planet, we have to change our frequency level as well as our molecular structure in order to exist. Once we go back to our original galaxy, then we take back on our home makeup, our home shape. But you must first, before you try to leave this planet, you have to master this here. And the whole thing is all of it is mental first. The way you think is what limits you within self and what you can do in the abilities of self. If I say to myself that I have to rely on a creator to do something for me, then I will always be stuck here. There's no need for a creator because you are that creator. Huh? Are you afraid of saying these things? Are you afraid of calling yourself a netiru or part of nature? That's all you're saying. Are you afraid of calling yourself a nazderu, which is a watcher? Are you afraid of saying these things? Because if you're afraid, drop the books now and let them go. Walk right back into religion and be comfortable. That's what they do. Some people their minds can only withstand a certain amount of information, so therefore they're stuck in it. They can't see themselves in their minds. Astral projection is crazy. I must believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I must grovel in front of it. I must cry. I must rub up against that statue. Other than that, I can't do it. I'm done. So therefore, those beings who think on that plane are stuck on that plane. That's how you create disembodied souls. These disembodied souls, a lot of them have nothing to do with car crashes or gun violence. It's how did you vibrate on a frequency level? Where did you vibrate on? How did you think of yourself? Because the way you think also determines your frequency level. It's not just about what I took on a Dr. Sabi diet or I took on Dr. Africa's diet. All that is also a part of it. Let's not leave that out. But at the same time, your thought process, because mental is still projected upon other people. And it also affects your aura, your tepi hesp. It also affects it, and it's carried over to other people who surround you. When I ask questions to beings, I humble myself because I don't know. But the teacher is the most humble of the individual because we are a slave to the student. That's what we are. We are slaves to you all. We can do our best, which is the best one can do. And that's all we can do to help those that are in need. That is our job. But it is up to the Cosmosan to know where they stand within Paa Pau't, the all. They have to know this, and you have to know this. You have to know who you are and what you are not. You are not a purely physical being. You are not a purely physical being. You are a spirit being that is having a physical experience. We've heard this a million times. It sounds nice to say. It sounds very deep and heavy, but at the end of the day, that is exactly what it is. A lot of things you will walk this long walk on a short path, and you'll see very strange things by human beings taking place. And you have to say to yourself, I'm a part of the situation, but I do not have to take action in it by looking at it. Because all is, they're still, whatever they're doing, they're still having an effect on the all, within all. But at the end of the day, you do not have to take a part in that situation. If I do not watch it, if I don't look at it, it doesn't exist to me. These are, to some people, this statement may be very trivial, but it is very, very big in the grand scheme of things, because a lot of us, as I said before, are very controlled by other situations outside of self. So we can never really make the journey back within self. That is a very hard reality that we have to face within ourselves. Everyone is not going to make it. But those who want to make it, they have to make that change. You have to do the exercises. You have to meditate. For me, as I said before, I confront situations, which means that at times I can be very aggressive. That's just who I am. And at the end of the day, I have to humble myself and drop myself down so I can come back to who I really am and what I'm supposed to be. I have to exercise who I am at times to let people know that I'm not one to be messed with. That's ego. That's times you have to exercise your ego. You just have to know how to control that ego. But at the end of the day, meditation is what I use in order for me to envision astral projection and to bring myself down to a next level, to a proper level. This is real. It's not about embarrassing you. It's not about taking away from who you are as an individual. It's not about thinking it's funny. This isn't spookism. Because as my father, Dr. York, said years ago, prayer is a process of giving out energy. But meditation is a process of absorbing that energy. You have to absorb. You have to deal with what's inside that subconscious. If I don't deal with what's inside that subconscious, at some point when it's time to take on those rituals, you will be confronted by what's going on in that subconscious, and it will destroy you. Rahobat. It will destroy you. We've dealt with the sweat lodges, we've dealt with the initiations, and we've dealt with people who refuse to deal with their fears. Fear is nothing but what's on the other side of that door. And once you confront it, you look back and like, oh, it was nothing. Whether it hurt or it didn't hurt, it was you're afraid of the physical. You're afraid of something happening to you. So that's a physical thought process. So I can't truly be in control if I'm worrying about what's going to happen to me on the other side of a wall, the side of a door. That's fear. I am no longer afraid of what I can do to myself. If I put back on that mask of God, I am in control. It's something that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said years ago. He talked to the devil to his face. He said, "You can't kill me. God won't let you." That's on the other side of fear. To make that statement at a time where blacks are being killed left and right, for some people, that's mentally insane. But for him, he didn't see himself as, oh man, if I say this, I'm gonna die. He's like, I'm more powerful than you. That's not ego, that's reality. Now, the way you carry yourself when talking to people, then you will be projecting your ego upon other people. And in order for you to vibrate on a higher frequency level, you must uproot the ego at the same time. You must uproot it. You follow? Because it will turn people off, and it will turn you off from making the divine journey. Divine journey is real. Some people have made it and decided to come back because they had a job to finish on this planet. But some people have made the journey and did not come back. This is real. This isn't spookism. This is reality. I don't deal with spookism for anybody. I don't create things for people to worship. I don't dangle things in front of people. This is real. You have to start making those journeys. You have to start making these practices. You understand? If again, those who don't see Paa Pau't the All as reality will forever worship other than self and will forever worship a spook, a spirit, or ghost, because the All is not something that is non-existent. It exists within all, and you exist within all because you are all, within all. You can't take from it, as we always say, and you can't add to it. It's there, and you are there. You can't come outside of it and be in a light room somewhere. It's not a doorway you can open where you leave. It always is, always was, always will be. And I'm not talking about a spook God at all. These concepts and these attributes are mental projections and creations. Again, the universe is mental. When you go outside of this planet and you see dark matter within space and time, you are seeing a mental projection of the mind of all. That is what you are seeing manifested. That's not spookism, that's reality. You understand? We are already in space. So we are already terrestrial beings. We're not extraterrestrial. anymore. But the reality of it is this. We have the potential because what exists within us is extraterrestrial molecule. You understand? As I said before, when I deal with the deities that come from different galaxies, that come from, from Siptu and Sahu, that is us who comes from Siptu and Sahu. There's no separation there. There's no need to separate. Why must you need to separate yourself from who you are? That is you. Tahuti is you. Acid is you. Asaru or Asar is you. Hathar is you. Sekhmet is you. Mut is you. It's not separate. You walked this planet. If I deal with Nun and Nunet, Cat and Cat, Het and Het, that is you. That's not. You're not separated from that. These are not just symbolism. Symbolism comes from spookism. That's the bottom line. That's the reality of it. If I read in actual facts in different books about what these deities did, and I only see it as symbolism, then I'm still seeing things from the mind of the devil, because I can't see it as a reality. You understand? And it's some people who can't break out of that. They can't see it as, they can't see the Mahfuzet as real liquid gold, liquid, divine semen. They only see it as, well, look, this is how I see this. There's no way for me to see it any different way. For me, I see these actions as being divine actions that I once was able to do, and I had the potential of getting back to that state. You understand? A lot of us cannot get there because spookism, we're so wrapped up in spookism, we're stuck here. And the way we were stuck on this physical plane is we take away our abilities as a people, as the cosmosan. My father can give you ideas as a spiritual master as of what you can do, but you have to act on it yourself. You can't say to yourself, I can't do something. My biggest problem was I said to myself several times what I could not do. The moment I stopped doing things like that, I became a better person. If you take away the can't of your life, you can do anything you want to do. That's reality, man. You can do anything you want to do. You want to leave this planet, do the works to get to that point. I'm not saying, just become pure Sufi, but be pure Sufi when need be. Be in control of the physical and still take care of your business on a daily basis. But when it's time to drop down, when it's time to take that fork and hit that tone to resonate, then it's time. When it's time to take that lewd and it's time to deal with themselves, to take that, to take that instrument and strum it so that it is affecting your frequency, then it's time. And I'm just making statements based upon music because we vibrate on that 8 octave on this planet. And knowing that the first level of some type of resonance or a connection to a resonance outside of self is sound frequency, music. And you have to, at the same time, it's still very important what you surround yourself with, especially music, is very correspondent to where you deal with or who you are within a frequency level. Even your mate is responsible for that. And you're responsible for your mate because you are companions within the all, within all. That is a reality. That is a divine reality as Muslims. And we have to get to that point where we break away from every other thing that is limiting us in this reality. What limits you is your own thoughts or what has been implanted into your mind. Because most of the things that limit us is implantations. Scary movies are implantations. Superman, Dark Knight, implantations of the devil. Because what it does is it gives you that super white man effect to see white man as God and see it over everyone else, all the wonderful, beautiful things the white man can do over black people. That's what it does to our people and our offspring. It's not healthy to look at things like that. It's destructive. We have to create our own images because mental images are very important. Physical becomes mental. If I see myself less than self, I will always be here. I will be a very dense, hardened individual because I'm resonating with the devil about what he does, and he makes you infatuated with the things that he thinks he can do. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to the envy of the African who walks his planet to and fro every day. That's really what that is. Does anyone have any questions?
So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I self Lord Master, that's still thinking about the concept of you doing anything you want to as a God, on the level of God.
Right. I self Lord. I mean, it's an acronym for Islam, but at the end of the day, it's mastering. You're mastering something. I self Lord and Master. The most important between it, you deal with the S, which is self, and towards the M, which is master. Because at the end of the day, you are trying to master self. But at the end of the day, if I said, was dealing with, what Elijah Muhammad was saying, you can master self. I, self, Lord, and Master. As reality. I, self, Lord, and Master. I am all of these things at one time. You are all these things at one time, which is what he was trying to tell everyone else within his organization, which is still the message to the black man in America, that you are in control. Sure. So that was a very purposeful thing that he was saying. It was a deeper meaning behind that. A lot of times when we dealt with within our authorities, we only saw the physical of what they were offering us, but we didn't see the reasoning behind certain acronyms within, the mathematics, supreme mathematics, and the lessons. It was hidden symbolism behind that. Because of course him being a Freemason, he took a lot of that information and used that within that doctrine to get those people, to get those brothers at that time to think on a specific frequency level. That was very important. When you dealt with the Allah, arm, leg, arm, head, that encompasses the human body. And that still is saying, you are the clay. You are the molder of the clay. The clay is you, but self is a molder of clay. And the self is a molder of you. Self is within self, but is outside of you. You understand? And that self is something that exists within the mental reservoir. Because within the mental reservoir is what you pick from and what you act on within your brain capacity. Because when we deal with ourselves, Lord and Master, arm, leg, arm, head, all these principles, hidden symbolism behind it is just saying what? You are in control. It's very simple, but a lot of times, a lot of us like to make it very complex. But it's very simple. From him, from Elijah Muhammad to Clarence 13X, they had symbolism within their principles and their doctrines and their lessons to get us to think on a certain level. A lot of us didn't see it that way.
I got a question, but this is Brother Sean, man. I can agree with that because I actually came through the school of the NOI and I studied with the gods of Earth for many years myself. So I actually came from that school before I even came across the teachings of Dr. Malachi Z. York. But my question is, brother, with the frequency and being around certain people and this and that with the music and stuff, I mean, it's almost as if, man, everybody around you got to totally cut off, and you almost feel alone sometimes,
Yeah.
How would you give one encouragement to really deal with that reality after it comes to your mind that it's really a reality that you're really literally going to have to cut tons of people, including your family, off from being that close to your life like that, due to that understanding that has came to your mind at that point.
Embrace it.
Being the master of your situation and seeing life on the outside level as a play that you're not the participator of the play, but you're the director of it. You're going to be involved in different situations of your life on a long walk on a short path with people that don't know anything at all. They know a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They listen to these type of music situations that are destroying the mind, and you have to be the one to know when it's time to cut it off. You can't fully be. We don't live in a mind. The thing is that within self, we have to harness what we deal with to make it relevant to what we deal with today. I can't tell you to go up in a cave and just chant on a pure Sufi level every day. That's not feasible. That's not reality. But what you can do is limit the amount of time you deal with these people who are on this frequency level. You know, it's only when needed.
True indeed.
You know, only when needed. It's people who, we all have to work jobs. We all have to, we have businesses. We deal with this planet that is polluted by not just the air but the people. And so we are frequency beings, spiritual beings who is absorbing everything around us. If you truly are within self, you just have to be the one to say it's time to cut it off. You have to know. A lot of times self will tell you, but you extend it out of emotion. And I've done the same thing. I do it sometimes myself too. I just, the thing is that, in due time, the force of nature will let you know, okay, you're on borrowed time with this individual. Because they're not at least trying to get to a specific frequency level. None of us are going to resonate on the same frequency because we're all different beings that just exist within the all. The problem is that you have to see it. We don't see it as, two separate individuals trying to get to certain levels. Your mate may not be on your level, and she never will be.
I was just thinking that, brother. I was just about to ask you that next question as far as my mate. Yeah, because I've been with my lady for 6 years. Got our first child together, but I was going to ask that same question. It seems so much that we're just on totally opposite realms of existence, and just totally different. You know what I mean? As far as information and knowledge and things that I think that help better my life internally and outside, but just totally on opposite frequency.
Right. Well, that comes down to your choices that you make within who you are. Because my thing is, I can just give you my experience with sisters. This is, it's two men talking here. We all want to try to sometimes convert. We want to give them a book and make them DNA explode, but it doesn't always work like that. Majority of the time, it doesn't work like that. You have to be the person that she wants to be. Majority of the time, that's usually how it works. Once you're doing what you need to do, if she doesn't make that change for herself, you can flip-flop it from women, to men. If that person doesn't make that change, this is just dealing with counterparts. If she doesn't make that change, then you have a decision to make at the same time. I'm not telling you not to let anyone, let people go or anything like that. But just look at it like this too. And I want to give you something positive. Just these people have to make the journey on their own time as well. Even though it's like, as you said, it's been 6 years, they have to, everyone is on their own journey. They're on their own spiritual journey. And it's just that the best thing for you to do right now is still be the example that she sees. It may be changes within self that you may need to do. A lot of times we don't look at ourselves because we're still projections. I'm a projection I'm gonna whatever emotion I have, I project that onto my wife. You understand? Whatever, whoever I am, whoever you are, you're gonna project that onto your girl. So that's the first thing. You have to make sure that you're still on route. And if she sees that divine principle, man, she's gonna eventually follow behind, and she's gonna have to follow suit.
Right.
You understand? It just comes down to what you practice on a daily basis. Because I'll never tell someone, oh, the dumper, and no, it comes down to examples. Yeah, it comes down to, do we still lead by example? Because again, I don't tell people, look, here's the book you give her, and that's supposed to. It don't work like that. It comes down to examples. It comes down to reflections. It comes down to, woman is still Aha. She is still She is still Moon. She's still Earth. We're still responsible as Sun. She's still reflecting something from what we do, from energy. So at the end of the day, what I'm doing, she's going to resonate that. Until she comes back to her state as God, we have to be the one to bring that energy towards her based upon our example that we lead by. And I'm saying this to you based upon things that you may need to do, that you may need to do within self. Because we all, I have things I have to work on. You have things you have to work on. That's what it comes down to, brother, is that what are you doing right now to perfect self so that she has no choice but to fall in line?
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us don't. Yeah, we don't see it like that. We like, how come she ain't? You know what I'm saying? She got to get on point.
Right.
No, are you on point? Because if whatever you're gonna do subconsciously, sisters are gonna follow behind that. That's not male chauvinistic. That's energy projection. That's real. Until she gets back to God, it's our job to be the example of what a God is, so that she can follow suit to get herself to that level.
Indeed. And just like, when the nation or people will not rise as high as this woman. And that's where, brother, you say you were in the ranks of the FOI, and I read the message of the black man, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches the nation first must start with the woman. You have to get the woman correct. So we have to let her know that she is God, and bring her up to that level in a way where it won't be forceful or it won't be in pressure, but to inspire her, uplift her to know that she is God. She is God.
Right.